Every single day, billions of phishing emails fly across the internet. And it just takes one person clicking one bad link to compromise an entire organization. So today, we're cracking open the SOC playbook. We're going to show you exactly how to investigate and shut down this constant threat, step by step, turning what could be a disaster into a controlled, effective response. We'll go from the initial alert all the way to full remediation. Let's dive in.
It really all starts right here. You see this quote? Phishing attacks exploit the human factor. And why is that? Well, it's because attackers are smart. They know it's often way easier to trick a person into giving up their password than it is to hack through layers and layers of firewalls and security tech. That psychological game is exactly why phishing is still the #1 way attackers get their foot in the door during major security incidents.
So let's put you in the hot seat. An alert just fired. A user did the right thing and hit the report phish button on an email that just landed in their inbox. The clock is officially ticking. What's your first move? This isn't just a hypothetical. We're going to treat this like a real-time scenario. You're the analyst, and every single decision you make from this second forward really matters. You've got to act, and you've got to act now.
All right, your first phase is all about triage. And the goal here is simple: speed and accuracy. This is not the time for a deep, drawn-out investigation. Not yet. This is about getting a quick handle on the situation, understanding the potential blast radius, and gathering the core evidence you're going to need for the real analysis that's coming up next.
In this first phase, every second counts, so your response has to be sharp. It breaks down into 3 critical steps. First up, validate the alert. Where did it come from? Was it a user report or an automated alert from your email gateway, like Defender for Office 365? That context is everything. Second, you got to determine the urgency. Is the target a VIP, maybe your CEO or someone in finance? Or are lots of users reporting the same email? That could be a sign of a massive campaign that needs all hands on deck. And third, collect your evidence. This is key. You need the original email file, not a forward, so you have the complete, untampered headers to work with.
And right here, we hit our first huge decision point. Let's say you're looking at the email headers, and you see that the sender isn't just faking an internal address. The authentication checks actually pass. The email came from inside your network. Okay, stop. This changes everything. An internal account sending out phishing emails is a giant flashing red light that screams compromised account. This is no longer a simple phishing triage. It's an active incident. You don't wait, you escalate to your senior incident response team immediately.
But, okay, let's back up. Let's say the sender was external, and you didn't need to hit the big red button. Now the real work begins. We move into the deep dive, the analysis. This is where we take all that evidence we collected, the headers, any URLs, the attachments, and we pick it apart piece by piece to figure out exactly what we're dealing with.
So our first line of defense in any analysis is checking the email's authenticity. How do we do that? We use this trio of protocols you see here: SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Think of them as the bouncers for your inbox. They're built to answer one fundamental question: did this email really come from who it says it came from, or is it a fake? What's so cool is how these 3 work together. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, that's kind of like checking the mail carrier's ID. It makes sure the email was sent from an IP address that's actually allowed to send mail for that domain. Then you have DKIM, which adds a digital tamper-proof seal to the message, so you know nothing was changed along the way. And DMARC? DMARC is the boss. It's the policy that tells your email server what to do if SPF or DKIM fail. And trust me, a P=reject policy in a DMARC record is your best friend. It tells your server to just drop the fake email before a user ever even sees it.
Check this out. See the SPF check? SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is basically a public guest list that a company uses to say, hey, only emails from these servers are legit. And what's the status here? A big flashing fail. This tells us that the email, which claims to be from microapple.com, was actually sent from some random server that microapple.com has never heard of. That's our first massive red flag.
And this right here, this is a perfect example of a classic phishing trick. In the email header, you've got the from address, which is what your user sees in Outlook. It's super easy to fake. But then there's the return path. That's the technical address that SPF actually checks. So when you see a familiar name in the from field, but the return path points to some random sketchy-looking domain, that's a massive red flag. You've almost certainly got a spoofed email on your hands.
Okay, so what about the dangerous stuff inside the email, like links or attachments? Our guiding principle is simple, and you should make it your mantra. Never trust, always detonate. You never, ever, ever click a suspicious link or open a weird file on your own computer. I don't care if it's in a VM. The risk of something escaping or just accidentally exposing your network is way too high. You have to analyze these things in a totally secure, isolated environment.
So, how do we do that safely? With a sandbox, of course. Here's a list of some go-to tools in the industry. For a quick look at a URL, you can just toss it into urlscan.io. It'll give you a screenshot and show you what the page is doing. But if you need to actually interact with a tricky login page, you might spin up a session in AnyRun. For files, VirusTotal is fantastic for checking a file hash against dozens of antivirus engines. And even better, if you're in the Microsoft world, Defender's Safe Attachments feature can do all this detonation for you, automatically, right inside your tenant, and then hand you a beautiful report.
All those little clues you get from the sandbox, a malicious IP address, a domain name, a file hash, those are what we call indicators of compromise, or IOCs. The next step is to take those IOCs and check them against threat intelligence platforms like VirusTotal or AbuseIPDB. This is so important because it connects your one little email to the huge global threat landscape. It helps you answer the big question: are we dealing with a small-time scammer, or is this part of a major campaign run by a known hacking group? That context is absolutely vital.
So the digital envelope is a complete and utter forgery. But what about the message itself? The attacker was nice enough to include an attachment, a puzzle that supposedly holds the key to everything. Let's see what secrets it's hiding.
The file is called puzzletokanda.pdf. It looks like a PDF, it sounds like a PDF, but remember what our supposed kidnapper wrote in the email. Don't trust your eyes. Well, that's not just a hint for the puzzle. It's a huge warning for our entire investigation.
So how do we find out what it really is? We sure can't trust the file name. Instead, we follow a simple but really powerful process. We basically decode the attachment from its text format and look directly at its raw binary data. And we're really interested in just the first few bytes.
These first few bytes have a special name. They're called a file signature, or sometimes a magic number. Seriously, think of it like a file's DNA. It doesn't matter what you name the file. You can call it a PDF, an image, a video. Its magic number will always tell you what it truly is.
And this is where the whole trick is revealed. A real PDF file starts with the hex values 25504446. But when we look at our attachment signature, we see 504B0304. And what does that correspond to? A zip archive. The attacker disguised a zip file as a PDF, just hoping the victim would be too busy to notice and would just click and open it.
Okay, so you've done the work, you've confirmed the email's malicious, you're done, right? Nope, not even close. Finding that first phish is just a beginning. Attackers almost never send just one. Your job now is to shift gears, to become the hunter, and find the full scope of this attack inside your environment. And your number one hunting ground is going to be your SIEM. Take a look at this sample KQL query from Microsoft Sentinel. We're searching the email events table, which, logs all your email traffic. The where clause is the key. That's where we plug in the malicious domain we just identified. And then the summarize command works its magic and spits out a clean list of every single person who received an email from that sender, along with the subject lines. Just like that, you go from one phish to a full victim list.
So what are we actually hunting for in the logs? Well, first, other recipients. Our SIEM query just gave us that. But second, we need to look for signs that the attack actually worked. You have to cross-reference those email delivery times with your sign-in logs. Are you seeing any weird logins for those users from strange places? Any impossible travel alerts? And third, look for what happened after a potential compromise. Are those accounts suddenly trying to access weird files or creating new inbox rules to hide their tracks? Those are the classic breadcrumbs that tell you an attacker is moving around your network.
All right, once you understand the scope, it's go time. This is the containment and remediation phase. We are officially shifting from passive investigation to active defense. We're moving to shut this attack down and start cleaning up the mess.
Your remediation plan has to be fast and decisive. You just follow these 4 steps right away. 1. Quarantine all malicious emails. In Microsoft 365, you can use Threat Explorer to find every single copy of that email and yank it out of every user's inbox. 2. Block the IOCs. Get those sender IPs and domains into your block lists on your firewalls and your email filters. 3. Force password resets for anyone you even think might have clicked the link. Don't ask, just do it. And 4. If they don't have it already, enforce multi-factor authentication. It is still the single best defense against stolen passwords. Now look, all the technical controls are crucial, but the human side of this is just as important. Your communication with the affected users is key. Be prompt, be clear, and be calm.
Let them know what's going on, give them super simple instructions for what they need to do, and most importantly, thank the person who reported the email in the first place. This is how you build a great security culture. You turn a scary moment into a really valuable, teachable one.
And finally, please remember this. The job is not done until you have made your defenses stronger for the next time. Every single indicator you found, every IP, every domain, every file hash, needs to be fed back into your security tools as a new detection. Update your SIEM rules, add the hashes to your endpoint protection block list, refine your email policies. You have to turn the intelligence from this attack into the automated defense that stops the next one.
So there you have it, a complete playbook from the first alert all the way to remediation. It's a structured, repeatable process that can turn a moment of chaos into a controlled, professional response. But listen, a playbook on a shelf is useless. It has to be practiced. It has to be drilled. It has to be part of your team's muscle memory.